Hello and welcome back to Cage Fight, where it is a very, very special time of the week.
You know what time it is.
You're damn
All
right.
right, partner. Let's get into Fred Durst Friday. So take those fucking red baseball caps, turn it around, open up a nice, cold, refreshing glass of hot dog flavored water, and get ready
Daddy.
for fucking Fred Durst Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can I just interject?
Go for it.
I think this is maybe week 4 where you've suggested that we open up a glass of hot dog flavored water.
Fuck, whatever. Who cares? It's hot dog flavored
Hey,
water.
I love it either way. The
Sometimes you
point
gotta put
is,
a cover on a glass,
Hey,
make sure no
no.
bugs get in there.
Yeah.
That's biscuit as fuck, dude. That's what I'm
I mean,
fucking
to be fair,
talking
you
about.
could open up a glass. It's just not the
In
most
the era
convenient
of
What do you mean?
coronavirus?
Is smashing on your head break stuff?
Yeah.
In the era of coronavirus, the best thing you can do with an open air glass is to put some saran wrap over it and stick a straw through.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
you know,
A metal straw. Or a reusable straw.
yeah.
And listen, I put a lot of care into this intro, okay?
Yeah.
Clearly.
Oh, I wasn't
Put a
knocking
lot of
it. I
carrot.
promise.
No, you know what, Dave? We're gonna fuck with your voice now. That was fucked up.
Yeah, man, fuck you.
Yeah, from now on, Dave, you can only communicate in death growls and deathcore O's.
But this week we are going to be reviewing the 2 illustrious Fred Durst directed films. The first one is The Fanatic. So, Jess, would you like to get into The Fanatic?
Oh, we're going to the Fanatic first. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to do Charlie Banks first. Hold on here. I have to open the Fanatic document.
More like Charlie Spanks.
Yeah,
Charlie Spanks off, dude. Come on.
That's going to be
Alright.
the porn parody of this show.
Oh yeah. Good work, Dave.
But so the Fanatic came out in 2019, just last year, the year that we started this illustrious podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, the year of our
And-
Lord 2019, the newest Fred Durst directed project.
This is the newest thing we have ever covered on Cage
Yeah,
Fight.
and I don't want to get too ahead of the gun here, but since it's so fresh in my memory, yeah, I did make a list at the end of 2019 where I ranked every 2019 movie that I watched, and this movie, drum roll, came in dead last.
Out of how many?
Out of every 2019 movie, I've probably 40 movies. I don't know, 30. 50, 20, 30.
Only 30? I've been keeping track of exactly how many I watched, and I've watched
I'll pull up my
73 this year.
I'll pull up my letterbox right now, you fucking whore.
Oh, okay.
Oh, shit.
I should do that on Letterboxd. I do it in a notes document on my phone.
So yeah,
Yeah,
this movie came out in 2019.
2019. Rated.
It has 7 different production companies or something like that.
Yeah, I only noted a couple of them, but this is rated R, directed by Fred Durst, screenplay by David Beckerman and Fred Durst. So Fred Durst had a hand in writing it. Production companies were VMI Worldwide, Pretzel Fang, Primal Film LLC.
Not related
Sounds
to
real.
Primal, the Nick Cage movie.
No.
They came out in the same year, though.
Not related to that at all. Media Finance Capital.
That exists.
That company, the name of Media Finance Capital is the most fucking, like, can you come up with a more generic name? Like, we have capital and we use it to finance media. Like, oh my God. And many more that I didn't know.
Yes,
because,
also Redbox, because this movie was exclusively distributed through Redbox for a while.
Really? I didn't
Yes.
realize that. I don't have trivia.
And it was,
That's
I believe,
not
the
my-
first movie streamed on Redbox's streaming service.
I didn't even know they had a streaming service.
Yeah, they did.
This movie is a runtime of 89 minutes, so it's a pretty typical hour-and-a-half movie, or it used to be typical. Movies now are... I feel like movies, until about like 10 years ago, were average about an hour and a half, and now movies average about 2 hours or more.
Yeah, movies are kind of long.
Which I sound like an old lady now. so-
You are an old
Yeah.
bitch.
Whatever happened to 85 minutes and my load's busted?
Now, the budget of this movie is not available online at all, but does anyone want to take a stab at what the box office gross was?
I'm going to guess this movie made about... God, I don't know. I'm going to say probably the per capita income of America. So like $35,000, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
I believe that the per capita income of America is actually above the median income of America and sits somewhere in like the $58,000 range.
No,
median
that's
is somewhere in the
definitely not per capita
55,000.
income of America.
yeah,
sorry,
and I'm not going to cheat, but just for comparison, since this is a smash hit blockbuster, I want to see how much other smash hit blockbusters from 2019 made. So let's see.
Black Panther.
The live action Lion King movie made 1.657 billion. So I'm gonna say this one probably made 1.8.
Damn. Okay, that's
Was
okay.
was the live action Lion King the highest grossing movie of 2019? I thought it was Black Panther. Or was Black Panther 2019
That was
or
2018.
18? That was 18.
Lion
I fuck
King
up my
was
years.
not the highest grossing movie of 2019, but I was just trying to think of a smash blockbuster
Oh, yeah.
from that movie
Yeah,
from that
because the
year.
Fanatic
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, as the
Well,
Fanatic
actually,
was.
the
Exactly.
Fanatic,
Everyone was a fanatic of the Fanatic.
Exactly.
Philly Fanatic watched this movie like a trillion times.
Yeah, they actually the reason they canceled baseball this year is because they use a stadium to play this movie now. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
The actual box office gross of this movie was $3,153. We have it down to the exact dollar amount. So
That was the price that Amazon Prime bought it for to throw it up on their streaming service.
See, this movie made literally no money until Amazon's like, yeah, I'll give you a couple bucks. We'll give you a month's paycheck for a working class American.
I think $3,000 wouldn't have even paid for craft services for this movie.
It wouldn't even pay
Like-
for probably like 1 day of craft
It
service.
certainly wouldn't pay for John Travolta.
No,
like,
wouldn't even pay for his trailer per day.
How did John Travolta end up in this movie? That's what I want to know.
I want to know.
It's
like, what
fucking
the fuck?
insane to me. Like I know John Travolta's at a point in his career where he's kind of like off his rocker. Scientology has gotten all the way through to his mush brain, but he's still like he still does stuff. Like he was on that O.J. Simpson show or whatever. And
The last
He,
thing
he
I
was in
remember
Gotti,
him-
the best movie ever.
oh yeah,
The last
I
thing-
forgot about Gotti.
The
I still
last
have
thing
not
I
seen that,
honestly
but I kinda
remember
wanna
him
hate watch
in
it.
is kind of an old movie at this point, but it was the taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 with Denzel Washington.
Washington.
I almost said Denzel Curry, which it would have been really cool if Denzel Curry was in that. But
Hell yeah.
I think Dave would have liked it if it was Denzel Curry instead.
Oh damn, he's still robotized. I
not
like
a lot
it.
of people know this movie. I'm kind of a
Denzel Curry's a
fan.
shit.
I'm kind of a fan of like lesser known indie movies. I like to watch a lot of like movies that most people haven't seen, and so I like.
You're very unique.
I really like him in a movie called Pulp Fiction.
Oh, shit, yeah.
By Quentin Tarantino.
Quarantine time.
How about yeah,
By
Quarantine
Quarantine
Tino? Yeah.
Yeah, Quarantine Tino.
And so that's a really good one.
Quarantine Tano here.
Yeah, that's probably Travolta's most memorable role besides Saturday Night Fever.
Forgetting about Grease, dude.
Also, I think you forgot him.
favorite
on,
movie, favorite country.
I think you forgot him on the best Deftones album, Saturday Night Wrist, which was the sequel to Saturday Night
Yeah.
Fever.
Yeah.
But so Rotten Tomatoes, this movie got a 17% from critics,
Oh no!
Poopy.
30% audience score.
But guess what? This movie still had a higher critical response. The Trapped
That's
in Paradise.
fucked up.
That's
No, it's
true.
not.
It actually did.
That's not
and it
fucked
is
up.
kind of fucked up in terms of
No.
its depiction of autistic people.
No, it's
But-
not. This movie
but
is
then
way
again,
better than
Trapped
Trapped in Paradise.
Oh God.
But yeah, that's all I have for the general facts. Do you have trivia, Mike? Or?
I have a little bit of trivia.
shit.
Actually, this first one is kind of interesting given the premise of this movie. Devon Sawa played Stan in the Stan video.
Yeah.
Who's Devon Sawa?
He was the actor who played the actor who that fucking John Travolta stalking.
Yeah.
Oh,
John Travolta is the Stan in this scenario.
Oh, okay.
Devon Sawa was the OG Stan.
Ah,
Which I thought was it's a really fucking cool like piece of trivia. I loved that shit.
Very interesting. This movie has been reported as the worst movie opening of John Travolta's career. No surprise.
Yeah, $3,000, absolutely.
yeah, $3,000 total box office grosses. That I mean, obviously, I don't think that can't take in. Well, no, because the only streaming service that's on is Amazon Prime, and it's free on there. So like,
I mean, literally, I think they probably kept this thing open for like a weekend, and they're like, hey. They opened up like one screen one weekend. I bet that was probably what fucking happened.
Yeah.
Maybe even a single day of a screening, like seriously.
Yeah, they should have, I mean, at least done the minimum for like Oscar consideration. But Moose, the character that John Travolta plays in this movie, is John Travolta's favorite character he has ever played. He said that. I need to find this interview because
Did he just say that to try and promote this movie?
I'm gonna say
He likes that
yeah.
more than Vincent? Or that was Vincent in Pulp Fiction, right?
He likes that more than the character he played in Grease, or Saturday Night Fever, or Battlefield Earth, or what?
Okay, Battlefield Earth.
No, Battlefield Earth, that character was fucking awesome, alright?
But he apparently took this role as a tribute to his autistic son Jet, who passed away in 2009.
Oh my god, are you kidding
So he hates his dead autistic son so much
Oh my god.
that he basically wants to mock everybody that represents his son.
This movie is like Nazi eugenics level offensive to mentally challenged people, and this is the thing that he did to honor his son? What the fuck?
I suppose maybe just a depiction of an autistic person in a slightly, like genuine and unjudging manner would be a good thing on film, but this literally...
He's a crazed maniac.
Yeah, he's a crazy maniac who kills people. And like, what the fuck? I feel really bad for his dead son.
Yeah, we want to talk about far-right movies. This is another far-right movie just by accident.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh my god. The last piece of trivia I have is a good fucking Fred Durst Friday factoid that I didn't know.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude.
One of the celebrities that Moose comes across on the app Leah gives him is Tyler Durden.
Really?
And Fred Durst was a playable character in the critically panned Fight Club video game.
I did know
came
that
out in 1999.
I
didn't know
didn't
that.
even know there was a Fight Club video game.
Yeah, there's a Fight Club fighting game from like 2003, 2004 or something. And yeah,
With
if you
Fred Durst as a character.
the unlockable character is literally Fred Durst. Yes.
So
we should have like a Twitch. We should have a Twitch stream at some point where we just play the Fight Club video game as Fred Durst.
First of all, a Fight Club video game is just...
It's just a fighting game. That's all it is. It's just a bad fighting game.
I guess it's a fighting game, but like, what the fucking... God, that's so stupid. I'm sorry.
It's
Like,
one of those
fuck
games.
you. I think a Fight Club video game where you get to play as Fred Durst is literally the most Fight Club thing in existence.
It's one of those video games that like dumb people play to feel smart.
Yeah. By the way, the idea of like a really dumbed down like quasi-fascist like anti-consumerist media, and the guy, the main like the unlockable character was like the symbol of consumerist culture in the early 2000s.
Here's the thing about Fight Club in terms of like the fascism is, at least I think the movie directed by Fincher is like a...
Oh, you mean David Fincher? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
David
that's right. You
Fincher,
said
yeah.
Fincher, sorry.
But yeah, I feel like it's a send up of it. You're not supposed to at the end of it identify with the fascist aspects to it, but you're supposed to understand how it can draw a person in.
I think it's one of those.
Looking at like the way Chuck Palahniuk, the author of the book, talks in a lot of things, makes me think that guy is actually kind of an honest to god fascist.
Well,
sometimes.
so that's the thing. I think in a lot of like parody and like like when people try to parody something, I think that they did it in a very poor way, because I've never met a single person who watched Fight Club and was like, oh yeah, they're bad. Like Tyler Durden's a bad person. It's like, that might be the point, but like no one got that message. I mean, to be fair, maybe class conscious people get it, but like most people don't get that. Talking about fucking fascist movies, let's get into the plot synopsis of The Fanatic.
Getting into a plot summary here, it opens with a quote, "You are a fan, without you I am nothing," which we will hear in this movie. It is a quote from Hunter Dunbar, which after I saw that quote, I Googled it. I was like, I've never heard of Hunter Dunbar. And I was like, oh.
He's the guy who made Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Also, the idea of opening your film with a quote from the character is a weird stylistic choice. I've never seen that before in my life.
I've never seen that before, ever. It's fucking weird.
Usually movies start with like a George W. Bush quote.
Yeah, right. It's like they have a saying in Texas, sometimes Tennessee, sometimes Texas.
But John Travolta plays a character named Moose in this movie, who is an autistic man who, I'm not sure what age exactly he's supposed to be. His friends seem to be like maybe in their late 20s, but like John Travolta is obviously at this point in his 50s, I believe.
And
his
also
character
the thing about
also no work to make him look younger other than he has a backpack and a bowl cut.
The thing about this character is I genuinely don't know if they were trying to make him autistic or mentally challenged or both. I honestly couldn't tell.
Yeah.
It feels autistic to me because
I
it's
think it
more
does-
about like social interactions he can't really understand than it is about like
I mean,
don't
kind of too, but that's also like a common
And I'm
trait
not
of like
an
people who are
expert
like.
on autism or any sort of mental disabilities, so like don't.
But he
listen to
also
me on this,
had a
and I'm
lot of
sorry
like
if I
mentally
have offended you.
challenged like tics. Like most autistic people who are high functioning enough to live on their own, like
Yeah.
John Travolta is, aren't that like socially deficient. They're
Right.
usually not. So
But maybe he's not high functioning. Maybe
well, I mean, the
he's-
fact of the matter is that the fact that like he doesn't have any kind of like caretaker or anything like they never
That's
indicate
true.
he has a caretaker. So like my whole thing is that if they're trying to portray him as like autistic, they did a really bad job.
Yeah.
Horrible job.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm not well versed in autism or anything like that. So,
And
but I do feel that this movie is rather offensive to autistic.
Oh, it
people.
is, yeah.
I will say that.
I do think that they tried to make him autistic, but they just made him more mentally challenged than autistic.
They really just wanted to make him seem like slow without ever explicitly stating like what his deal is, but you are able to glean enough that it's pretty offensive. So.
Boy, is it offensive.
He is a huge fan of Hunter Dunbar, a horror and action movie actor, and
Enough to buy his merch constantly.
yeah, enough to constantly buy his merch with money he doesn't even have. He buys it on like loans. But Hunter Dunbar is apparently going to be at a party at like a fancy bar, and John Travolta finds this out from like his friend who is a paparazzo. I don't know what her name is.
Yeah, her name is I think Peter Paparazzo.
Peter Paparazzo.
Peter
Okay.
Paparazzo. Yeah. Sounds about right.
But with her help, he sneaks into the party in an attempt to meet Dunbar and get his autograph, but he's thrown out by security because of his the way he
Autism.
acts. But also,
Yeah, it's discrimination. Yeah.
They're like, what the fuck?
This is some straight up fucking Urkel shit.
I still can't get over that Dave is still doing that. I love
Hey,
that.
he has to.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a rare condition.
That was actually pretty beautiful.
But apparently Travolta's job or the way he makes money is he rolls around the city in a Scotland Yard uniform,
He's
like rambling
poppy
random,
quark.
rambling like random British things. But I don't understand it.
It's weird. Yeah, he's like one of those like weird Hollywood Boulevard like street barker people.
Yeah. He's basically couldn't
Well, those
afford
buskers, yeah,
Yeah,
those are
he couldn't afford an Elmo costume, so his shtick is. That
I guess I haven't been around Hollywood that much, but the time I was there, I never saw any shit like that.
I mean, I think that's really common in places that are like massive tourist attractions, like
Yeah.
like Hollywood Boulevard or like Times Square and shit.
And to
like
be
that.
fair, like when you actually visit Hollywood, most of the attractions are like a turd on the sidewalk. Like, Hollywood is an
yeah.
awful place to
Or,
visit.
yeah.
Like there's nothing to see there, and it's gross and bad.
or like a used condom on Bette Midler's star.
Seriously, like that. It's Hollywood is not a and I'm not talking in the grand scheme of things. I mean, like Hollywood Boulevard is a dirty, gross place to visit.
I bet it is.
This is reminding me of a System of a Down song.
Yeah.
That's Lost in
yeah.
Hollywood. I love it.
Smoking
Fags out there on Hollywood Boulevard.
Washed up Hollywood.
Mm.
I used to think he was saying wash the Pollywood.
Mm.
I was like, what does that have to do with anything? But he's
Well,
saying
the Pollywood is me because I'm in like poly and
Oh, yeah.
I get wood.
Look
and
at
wash
washed
it.
up Hollywood.
Yep.
That's what you say. You hum to yourself as you're jacking off.
Look at all them begs to stay.
But so
Phony people come
There-
to pray.
It's a great song, dude.
Oh,
I love that song.
I love
the
Lost in Hollywood. Great
harmonies
song.
on it are beautiful,
Yeah.
and like when it searches down.
Yeah. Darren and Serge.
It's we can all bond over System.
Yeah, I love System.
Let's do an entire podcast just devoted to
We
System.
can do a System of a Down Saturday.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Armenian Genocide Wednesday.
Hey.
Yeah.
But there's an
Please cut out all of
illusionist
me singing. By the way.
Oh, not me though. You can keep me singing.
during his street barking. There's an illusionist who does like street magic, mainly to create a distraction while another guy steals the wallets of the crowd.
And like, dude, doing like Steve-O shit. Like,
Yeah.
what is he doing?
I don't know. His magic isn't magic. It's just I just pretended to shove a nail through my nose.
Like I said, like Steve-O and Johnny Knoxville shit. Like that's all it is. Like I stapled my nutsack to my
I
leg.
made an alligator eat a steak out of my ass.
But that guy
I had a
keeps
dog bite my ball sack. I don't know. Just like
that guy keeps trying to get Travolta to join him and steal wallets with him, and it's like, yes, do it. Join the dark side.
I wish Ian McDermott was that guy. He's cooler.
Hell yeah.
But Travolta eventually sees Dunbar at an autograph signing at a local nerd memorabilia store. But when it comes to Travolta's turn to get his stuff signed, Dunbar is called outside by his ex-wife, who is very mad because Dunbar is supposed to watch their kid that night. Travolta asks for his autograph while Dunbar is talking to his wife, and Dunbar basically says fuck off, just fuck off.
Never
And-
meet your heroes.
Never meet your heroes. Travolta's paparazzo friend tips him off to an app that displays where celebrities live. It's like those old star maps, but in
Yeah,
app
the
form now.
guy who founded Gawker literally called it a stalker app for celebrities.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Not as
But,
good as is it Raya, the Tinder for celebrities?
Okay.
Kind of the same thing, except for you get your
Damn.
fucking dick sucked by Katie Holmes.
Oh yeah, dude.
Hey.
Or you just meet a random a Hollywood executive and you put your child up there and they get molested.
Yeah, I mean,
But using that, Travolta finds Dunbar's address and writes a letter to Dunbar asking him for an autograph and apologizing for annoying him. Then he goes there to hand deliver it. But while he's waiting outside the gates, Dunbar walks up with his kid and sees Travolta outside and just acts like an asshole to him, get the fuck out of here. I don't fucking want you around here. How'd you find my fucking neighborhood? Fuck off.
Which guess
And-
what? Even though that might have been an asshole thing in Russia, imagine you're a
Reasonable.
Hollywood celebrity, and you get fucking stalked all the time, and then you have just this fucking guy, this gigantic man, come at you like that. I'd be fucking terrified
yeah,
too.
with that haircut,
Yeah.
I'd be
I'd
like,
be
get the fuck out
terrified.
of here.
Yeah, mentally challenged. What the fuck?
And he's
I'm fucking with you, I'm fucking with you.
he's with his kid,
Yeah.
which is he's probably more or less just trying to protect his kid from some what he assumes is some crazy stalker.
Yeah, and guess what? He is a crazy stalker.
Exactly. I mean, yeah,
I am not a stalker.
Yeah.
Wait, that comes later.
that
but-
was good.
I am not a stalker.
That was a good impression of Moose.
But later after that, Travolta then ends up breaking into Dunbar's house by hopping the fence. And the housekeeping staff there, the maid sees him and tells him to leave, but he leaves the envelope behind on a rock and leaves. After this, we see that, there's a security guard who has seen the illusionist guy, pushing around Travolta for whatever reason he is. I guess the guy's I didn't get all of my bullying out in high school, and I'm going to do it to this guy now. But that's what the illusionist does. And the security guy's you got to stand up for yourself. Well, we finally see Travolta snap on weird idiot illusionist man and just shove him and be go away. I'm sorry, that was... I don't know.
No,
I'm
that was
just
about.
yelling.
That sounds about
I'm
right.
trying to yell without actually yelling so I don't distort the mic.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Talk about Fred Durst has in common with Stephen King, is that they also use black people as empowering figures for white people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was kind of like a magical black man. But,
Yeah.
afterwards, we see that Travolta again breaks into Dunbar's house, and the maid is there, sees him, and walks outside and is get out of here, and begins swatting him in terror. He hits her, and she falls back and hits her head on the water fountain and dies.
And also a minor plot point as well. The maid is having a bit of a tryst with
Oh yeah,
Hunter
she's
Dunbar,
having an affair,
which
with
will
Hunter
which
Dunbar.
will come importantly later.
After that, Travolta goes into the house, apparently not knowing that she's dead. I can't tell because he was saying things like, oh, it looks like you got a nosebleed. You got to get that treated. Well, okay. And he just kind of hangs out and goes through all of Dunbar's stuff. And,
And makes out uses his toothbrush and
yeah,
shit. Just
he
does some
uses
gross
his
shit.
toothbrush,
Yeah.
does some weird things. But once Dunbar arrives home with his son, and after Dunbar goes home to sleep, Travolta kind of comes out of hiding, takes a photo with Dunbar as he's sleeping, kisses him on the forehead, and then sits down next to him as Dunbar sleeps, even puts a blanket on him.
Just a real big sweetheart, Moose
big,
is.
big sweetie.
He's got a big heart.
After
That's the
murdering
thing.
that maid.
Yeah, because he has an enlarged heart. He's going to die very soon.
Travolta sneaks out of the house before Dunbar wakes up, but as he's walking away, Dunbar goes out in his car with his kid where he's playing Limp Bizkit and talking about how he loved Limp Bizkit back in the day.
Specifically the Unquestionable Truth Part 1.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Which I feel like Fred Durst is like, no one mentions this part of my career. I'm going to bring
It's
it up.
good. I'm telling you.
But, you know, I do got to say that the Unquestionable Truth is not that bad.
No,
I like the
Unquestionable
guitar
Truth
work and
is
shit
all
on
right.
it.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah. I think it's probably one of the best things Wes Borland ever did with Limp Bizkit.
Basically, as Dunbar's driving away, he sees Travolta again and gets out of his car and is like, what are you fucking doing in my neighborhood? Never come to my neighborhood again, you fucking stalker. And Travolta gets mad and says, I am not a stalker! Yells it at him. At this point, I'm wondering, how has no one noticed the maid's dead body just laying in the backyard?
No, honestly, that was a huge plot hole, and it will come in, like, will come into importance later, but, like, yeah, how the fuck did nobody notice this?
Yeah, I wonder that for the whole rest of the movie.
They probably just thought she had a nosebleed.
Well, especially considering this, like, the movie takes place, like, a couple days in between that, too. It's like, did he not notice that the plants weren't being taken care of for, like, 2 or 3 days?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Well,
I
he had
don't
a separate
understand.
gardener, I think, and it's implied that the gardener finds the body, but...
But anyways, yeah, we'll get to
But, you know, that night, Travolta burns all of his Dunbar memorabilia, and he hate watches a Dunbar movie while, like, yelling at it about how stupid
It's
it
like,
is.
you're not real! None of this is real!
His paparazzo friend confronts him about how he posted photos on social media of him and a sleeping Hunter Dunbar, and he just angrily throws her out. And some unspecified amount of time later, but it's implied to at least be like another day or later or something like that, he breaks into Dunbar's house again and ties him up with like paper towels stuffed in his mouth. And he does a bunch of movie stunts and props to him and is like, haha, look at this. I do jokey things to you, Mr. Hunter Dunbar, while you're tied up in your bed and vulnerable to me.
And probably
We're having fun.
terrified.
Yeah, and terrified. And Dunbar kind of like uses his acting skills to kind of finesse his way into me and
Yeah,
like,
make him
we're
like
buddies.
Listen, we do a lot of visualization, so close your eyes.
Yeah.
And then he's able to get out of there, and he just fucks John Travolta
and then
up.
just immediately picks up a gun that he just had, like a sawed-off shotgun that he just has right by his bed.
blows his fingers off.
Yeah, shoots his fucking hand off, and then proceeds to basically torture Travolta with the gun
Yeah.
and stabs him in the eye.
Yes, that scene was fucking nuts. You see John Travolta's eye just goes, ah! Like blood's coming out of his eye. And you know what? Honestly, they actually cut a scene prior to that where Hunter Dunbar sewed his mouth shut and made him shake his butt because he's Hitler, Swayze, Trump, and Travolta. You don't get a Mr. Bungle reference, man. Fuck you. We're supposed to be doing a Mike Patton bracket at some point. You don't get a Mr. Bungle reference.
Sorry,
I was
missed
just my brain doesn't work today.
So it's okay.
But pretty much immediately after Dunbar does all that torturing, which I feel like is weird. I feel like anyone in that respect probably wouldn't just torture someone and let them out half alive. They would just fucking kill them.
Yeah,
Right.
that made no sense. I don't understand what they were trying to imply with that.
Yeah, but
like there wasn't a character arc. He's just like, all right, I'm done torturing you. Now you can leave.
yeah,
Like
Dunbar.
what?
He
What?
apparently just
Oh.
looks at it and he seems to be like kind of shocked and disgusted by what he's just done.
And also
Um,
deafened John Travolta because he shot 2 shotgun blasts near his ears.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
holding
well-
his ears too. So
Yeah, well, you shoot a shotgun indoors and everyone goes deaf.
yeah, oh no, absolutely, yeah.
But if that's a thing that's never addressed in the movies, the hearing loss that would occur from firearms being fired indoors.
Which
but-
the movie's very realistic if you think about it.
But he personally gets Travolta bandaged up and then sends him outside. And pretty soon afterwards, like Dunbar's gardener shows up and finds the maid's body, I think is implied, and Dunbar is arrested on suspicion of having killed his maid. John Travolta walks free, but albeit fucked up and mutilated from what Dunbar did to him. And as he's walking away down Hollywood Boulevard, his paparazzi friend sees him and like consoles him and is nice to him. And that's it. And
And that is the movie.
Oh,
that is how the movie ends.
It's a happy
another
ending.
weird thing I gotta say is for some reason his photographer paparazzi friend, she narrates the movie.
Yeah.
And that's weird. I don't understand why.
I don't get it either because she's not really like intimately aware of the situation at all.
No.
She's like a
It's not like she was there, knew what was going on, really.
Yeah, so, and honestly, this movie was fucking nuts.
Mhm.
This movie
It's
is insane. I
wild.
love it, but this movie's insane.
It's wild.
Yeah, it's a wild
Especially
movie.
the scenes where Hunter Dunbar is torturing Moose. I was like crying laughing by how horrific it was. Like, it was horrifically violent. Like,
It was really fucking violent.
especially the fingers and then he stabbed him in the eye. Like,
Yeah.
especially there's like a weird cut between when he stabs him in the eye and when he takes the knife out. It's really jarring, and then you just see the blood coming out of his eye, and you're like, "What the?"
Oh yeah,
fuck?
when he stabs him in the eye, I did like cringe.
Yeah, oh,
I was
it's
like,
oof. Oh yeah, it's like a real oof moment.
It's well done,
And especially
in
by
terms of
how
the directing,
visceral,
I will
and
say
obviously,
that.
of course, by just how viscerally like Moose takes it. Like, it is genuinely a very like disturbing moment in the
Yeah.
movie.
For sure.
And some other fun points that I had. Moose's apartment's really cool.
Hmm?
Moose,
I guess I didn't pay that.
oh,
close
he's
of
got like
attention
a
to it.
cool man cave.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
got like a popcorn machine and like horror movie posters everywhere and cool horror movie memorabilia.
Dude's fucking living.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
How though? It's Los Angeles, and he makes no money doing his poppycock routine.
Well, that's just a typical thing in movies and especially sitcoms. People live in just homes that are completely
Oh yeah,
unrealistic.
no,
for the
I know it's
salary.
Hollywood, but it's just funny to think like, how's he paying for that? Especially by himself, because he clearly doesn't live with anyone else.
Yeah, and he's fucking buying movie props on top of it all.
Yeah, and
It's-
even if he's like, I mean, of course he is, mentally challenged, so he's getting some sort of probably SSDI payment. Even then, most SSDI payments top out at like $1,100 a month. That ain't shit, especially in a place
Yeah.
like LA.
Yeah, definitely.
Unless like he's got like a mom somewhere. He's like, oh, I'll give you a couple $100 a month to live somewhere sunny, as long as you don't
Yeah,
stalk
there's-
any of my friends.
There's no real explanation as to. I mean, I don't remember exactly, but his family dynamic is not really explained.
I think he's like just like a lonely, depressed. I don't think he has any family, to be honest.
Yeah, doesn't seem like it.
He's also got a bomb ass moped,
He's fucking.
and his mullet is cool as shit.
Oh yeah.
One thing I will say is that there are like occasionally as like interstitials between scenes, there's like some drawings or animations that pop up.
I was gonna mention
kind of
that,
cool
yeah.
and interesting.
They are,
I
but
like
they
them.
they
I
don't
like
really
them, but-
fit at all.
They don't really fit. I feel like they could fit in a different movie if this was cut a little differently. But my thoughts on this movie are actually kind of similar to what I was thinking on the long shots. Like it's well directed. Like it's clear
Yeah.
that like the camera choices are good. It's pretty like suspenseful. It's just like that the writing and the plot are not good.
And the
You know what I
performances
mean?
are just baffling.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
once again, and I was gonna mention this earlier about John Travolta's sort of mental whatever they're trying to portray as either autism or either being mentally challenged or not. But I do feel like his level of like social understanding is so low that there's no way somebody like that would be able to function without a caretaker.
Yeah.
Like there's no way. So I do think that he's probably mentally challenged and just not being properly taken care of by the state.
For sure.
I
Yeah.
feel-
And I mean, I remember feeling like there was a lot of aspects of this movie that I would have found like thrilling or enjoyable if it wasn't for the simple fact that like you're supposed to be like just nodding along with the fact that a mentally challenged guy is just like left unchecked and
Yeah.
going insane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a neurodivergent person is just fucking, like being a terrible person and shit like that.
Yeah,
and
like I
just,
said, I think this movie is a
that's-
very offensive and horrible portrayal of mentally
Yeah.
challenged people, like in a way that, like I said, is like borderline like Nazi propaganda. Like it's really bad, especially considering like somebody like John Travolta's character would be the victim of somebody like Moose instead of Moose being that type of person.
Yeah, generally, this is a common trope throughout most Hollywood movies, though, that I will say.
Oh yeah,
They are usually in movies portrayed as people to be scared of, people who are aggressors, and generally in society, they are the victims of violence far, far, far more often than they
Mhm,
are
absolutely.
the perpetrators. And I don't know. That's fucked up.
And just the fact that John Travolta did this to honor his dead autistic son is fucking disgusting. Like
yeah.
It's insane to me.
if this is what you took away from your son's life, then you're a piece of shit, John Travolta. I'm sorry. Like this is
yeah,
bad.
it doesn't
Yeah.
make me feel good about the parent child relationship that was going on there.
If he truly feels that depicting this character has given him like a deeper understanding of what his son was going through, then Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And what was it like before this movie too?
Right.
Yeah.
And the fact that his son isn't alive to tell his dad that, like, Dad, this is fucked, dude.
How old was his son when he died?
I'm not sure.
I think he was a teenager, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think he was
young.
like 14 or something. It was in 2009.
And of course, knowing what Scientologists believe too, he didn't want his son to get any fucking mental health
Yeah.
treatment. too.
Yeah. No.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They fucking hate therapy.
I wonder why. But yeah, no, I honestly did like this movie just because of how just horrifically like gratuitous and offensive it was, just like an ironic liking. But yeah, no, I will agree though that even though this movie has themes are very problematic, it is well directed, I will say. And the lighting choices are good. I like the sort of shot composition in a lot of ways. Like this is like a solidly made movie.
Yeah.
It's just performances are bad.
Yeah,
particularly
right.
John Travolta.
Like this would be a good movie if it weren't for the writing and John Travolta's choice of performance. And Hunter Dunbar does feel a little over the top aggressive sometimes. Like
For sure.
I don't
Yeah.
feel like a person would actually behave like that. You know what
Well,
I mean?
I think somebody who's probably just so sick of like having to do the fucking whole Hollywood shtick and is probably going through a lot of bullshit in his own life would probably have that level of like, dude, fucking come on, dude. And then after a while, would just snap after a while.
Right. Yeah.
So
and-
like, and obviously not to the point where he's literally torturing a fan, but
Right, and I'm all for I like overtly violent movies, and I'm all for a movie that's about some guy going off the handle and stalking somebody and getting messed up.
just getting owned, yeah.
But there has to be something other than even no explanation of like why he just like goes off and decides to kidnap somebody is better than
Yeah, because that was the thing. I felt like the escalation between him kidnapping Hunter Dunbar and then Hunter Dunbar torturing him nearly to death, there was no justifiable like escalation for that at all.
right.
like there's like one moment it's like, yeah, you're kind of a dick and fuck you, I don't want you being near my kid. And then he's like, I don't like your movies anymore. And then 5 minutes later they're just horrifically torturing each other. What the fuck?
Yeah. So just watch Misery instead, I guess.
Yeah.
Misery is probably a better
Yeah.
movie for this type of thing. But.
I will say another fun fact is that Fred Durst allegedly based the portrayal of Moose after a stalker he had.
And that stalker, of course, was
John Travolta.
I was gonna say Dave.
Yeah, it was Dave. Yeah, it was Dave.
Fuck y'all.
Man, fuck you. Man, fuck you. Man, fuck you, stalker. I'm gonna make a movie about you.
Yeah, that's kind of all I have to say about the Fanatic. But
Yeah, I will say if you're in the mood for watching a movie that will make you laugh out loud and probably give you a quasi mental breakdown, this is a good movie for you to watch.
Yeah.
And if you also just love Fred Durst, then watch this movie because this is a very Fred Durst movie too.
And if you have like any autistic children and you just kind of want a window into their experience, just check it out. I will say that on January 2nd, 2009, Jet Travolta died at the age of 16 while on a Christmas vacation in the Bahamas.
Oh, jeez.
And I hope it was a Christmas vacation akin to National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, except for
well, in that case, they were
without the seashore.
literally trapped in paradise. Because Bahamas, I've heard, is very beautiful.
Bahamas very beautiful and not a place where you're gonna want to have to like extradite your child's body. So
Yeah.
what I've heard about Bahamas, Bermuda, Bahama.
Come on, baby, mama.
now that's a Mr. Bungle
Key
reference we'll
Largo.
all get.
yes, that was.
Yeah.
Key Largo, Montego, John Travolta's hero is his dead little son.
Who
Damn.
he portrayed.
Holy shit.
God damn.
Basically,
Oh my god. All right. So, are we ready to get into the next film?
Yes.
So the next one, this came out on August 25th, 1998.
Oh no, it didn't.
Yeah,
Education
no,
Charlie
it
Banks.
was produced by
Education Charlie
Chung
Banks came out
King,
like
RPM, Sony Music, The Hit Factory, Right Tracks, Perfect Pair, Marley Music Inc., Tough Gang. It's a runtime of 69 minutes 20 seconds. genres of neo soul, R&B, hip hop. You know, it had some
just
the big singles were like X Factor and Doo Wop, that thing. And
just do you mind if I interrupt real quick? I think you are discussing the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. No, we're talking about the education of Charlie Banks.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to combine the two, we could discuss the education of Sarah Banks. My favorite porn star. So
yeah,
but wait, hold on. Well,
it's
maybe
a common
some
misconception because Wyclef Jean was a big fan of, big supporter of this album and the movie that we're discussing.
Yeah, I don't know if you know, but Wyclef Jean actually played John Ritter's character in this movie.
Wyclef Jean Ritter.
That's maybe some of my notes still work here. It debuted at number 1 in the Billboard 200.
No, Jess, you're wrong.
Close.
Listen.
That thing.
Jess, I know you'd rather talk about that, but unfortunately, Fred Durst had nothing to do with that album. So today,
not even a feature.
We're going to be talking about the Jesse Eisenberg and John Ritter film, The Education of Charlie Banks, directed by
Fred Durst. Okay, so I do have. Screwed and chopped. God damn it. This is actually on the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Trains flowing through my veins. Look it up.
Yeah, it's on the she released a director's cut.
And listen, Jess, I knew that.
This is just going to go on for a while, I think.
So basically, when Lauryn Hill isn't showing up late for her concerts or not at all, she's watching The Education of Charlie Banks.
And I will say, I know, like I said, Jess, I know you wanted to talk about the miseducation of Lauryn Hill because I know you wanted to talk about something worse than The Education of Charlie Banks.
Whoa.
Rough.
So,
rough.
I mean, I'm just saying.
I'm just going to disregard that.
Steaming hot garbage take.
Listen, it's a good take. No, it's not. Actually, Miseducation of Lauryn Hill's, we'll get into it. But let's say I love the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, and this is also a movie.
It's a good movie. Or it's a good album. The Education of Charlie Banks came out in the year 2007. It was rated R.
For doo-wopping too hard.
And also for John Ritter's ass.
Ooh.
Directed by Fred Durst. Written by Peter Elkoff.
Damn, son, where'd you get this ass?
There is no production company associated, but the producers were Marissa Polvino and Peter Elkoff, the writer.
You really think they could have got one of the 30 production companies from the Fanatic to just hop on over to this?
Just get like one, yeah. I mean, come on. Or at least a streaming service so we could actually find a possible copy of this movie. Because the fun fact for the audience, this was the hardest I'd ever had to find a fucking film for this show.
This
by a lot.
Movie does not exist anywhere except for on German Amazon Prime.
And even then, I tried looking it up through various other very legal means, and they only showed me viruses. So
yeah,
I got one torrent to work, but it literally took 24 hours to download.
This movie
out of like a 700 megabyte download, so that was pretty fucking slow.
This movie barely exists. In that aspect.
Seriously. In fact, the only way to pretty much legally find this movie outside of completely illegal other methods is by just buying a DVD copy. That's it. That's the only way to watch this movie.
The runtime of this is 100 minutes. It had a budget of $5 million.
Oh shit!
Does anyone want to take a stab at that box office gross?
Okay, so I'm gonna go kind of low here. So I'm gonna say it was probably around the state of Wisconsin's population, so about $5.8 million.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, let's see, Lion King did 1.6 billion, so this probably did 1.2 billion.
Damn, that's pretty good.
Box office gross of $15,078.
Shit, god damn.
So these.
I also love how every Fred Durst movie is in the red.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I will say this one. We don't know for sure about the Fanatic. Maybe at a budget less than $3,000.
I doubt it.
But this movie at least just barely broke minimum wage salary in the United States if you're working 40 hours
damn, dude.
full
But
time.
everybody got paid under minimum wage, so.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I just
also another fun fact: this movie made 0.3% of its budget back.
Just wanted
Is that the lowest rate we've seen so far of a movie?
I think Deadfall might be up there, but
Oh yeah, fair enough. But yeah, this movie is did not make a lot.
although I think Deadfall might have had a slightly smaller budget.
No, it had
so
like a $10 million budget.
that's okay. I'd have to listen back to remember to confirm, but
So I think
can
Deadfall
believe
might have
that.
had the worst rating so far, or return. But yeah,
On the tomato meter, this got 48% from critics.
That's
Rotten Tomatoes, 45% from audiences. So that's only a 3% difference.
so yeah, pretty comparable.
Uh-huh.
The audience and critics both
Everybody's on
agree
the
that this
same
movie
page.
is meh.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you can get a copy of The Education of Charlie Banks on DVD from Amazon for $8.97 plus $3.99 shipping, but there is only one left in stock.
Oh shit!
Shit.
Okay.
To the first lucky listener who listens to this episode and goes out to buy it.
It's not eligible for Amazon Prime, but you can get it in a week.
Oh.
Okay.
Or two.
And also, I was going to say, Mike, what are the illustrious trivia facts for this film?
Let me tell you something. They don't exist.
Just kind of like this movie almost doesn't.
Yeah, this movie almost
fact-
doesn't exist.
I mean, obviously this is before Jesse Eisenberg was anybody, but the fact that there's like a movie in his Rolodex that is like this hard to find, like given his success in everything that he's been in since, you'd think that like some asshole would
This is only 2 years before Zombieland, which I think of as his breakout role. Or was
Yeah.
Zombieland 2009?
I think it was 2009.
yeah.
So yeah, literally like 2 years away from like a pretty popular movie, and you just can't find this fucking movie like anywhere.
Yeah.
I was shocked when the torrent worked, for God's sakes.
I think maybe when Mark Zuckerberg heard this kid was going to be playing him in a movie, he just scrubbed this movie off the internet entirely.
I think so. I think this was like a fucking like, okay, we got to get this movie out of existence somehow. Like that's
Yeah.
really how it felt. And well, we'll get into the movie a little bit, but I don't think the movie's that bad. Like it's not that
Yeah,
bad
I
to get
mean,
erased from
it's-
existence.
It's I mean, it's not a movie that I'm going to,
I bet there's some like teenage kid who would watch this at like 16 and be like, hell yeah. And it might like kind of shape
Yeah.
their personality.
Well, you know what?
and
How,
change
how,
their
how about,
life,
how about we
but-
get into the plot synopsis here so we don't
Okay.
spoil too much of
This
our
was my
opinions.
super bad.
Yeah, this
Well,
is my super bad.
My plot summary might need some filling in because this is a hard movie to
So,
summarize.
if you don't
but-
mind, I'll go into the plot synopsis.
Okay.
So this movie begins sometime in the like 70s-ish, I think.
It's got to be just based off the way people are dressed.
Yeah, and there's a school bus full of white children who are awed by the existence of black people playing sports,
Yeah.
which is cool and totally not weirdly fetishizing.
Well,
at all.
when you think
Um,
about it, it's pretty crazy how talented some of them can be.
Yeah, absolutely.
right,
Yeah, absolutely.
Dr. J has been
Um,
dunking.
Dude,
and then you see a kid with a
Chamberlain.
70s bowl cut just beating the fuck out of a kid on a basketball court, and a girl's just like, "Oh, you're so cute." And then Jesse Eisenberg, as a child, is like, "Damn, that guy's so fucking cool." And then it fast forwards to them in high school, where Jesse Eisenberg and John Ritter are at a party together.
Yeah.
Now, at this party, Jesse Eisenberg's a little awkward. He doesn't exactly know what to do.
We should say that Jesse Eisenberg is Charlie Banks, the
Yes,
titular
yes, you are correct.
Charlie Banks.
He is Charlie Banks.
Chuck Banks for
and
the initiated.
is John Ritter Mick?
Yes, he's Mick, yes.
Okay.
Not that kind of Mick. I think a different kind of Mick. But it could be that kind of Mick too. But they're at a party and Charlie's a little awkward. He doesn't really know what to do. Just kind of be like, "Oh, I'm at a party," and then everyone, of course, just making out and fucking each other. Yeah, I feel like this is really funny because we watched a movie recently, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, where underage people are just fucking constantly, and this movie starts with that.
Oh.
So I don't believe Fred Durst was a pedophile though, because he saw it and he's like, "I'm not going to pay attention to it. I'm just going to move on."
Yeah, see, this is done in a way that doesn't fetishize and center it,
Yeah.
and that's at least better.
So it at least acknowledges that young people are having sex, but it doesn't focus on it, which is the way you should do things. So, but he's going through the house at this house party, and he's like, "Cool, whatever." And he goes up and goes to the bathroom, and for whatever reason, John Ritter, Mick, and a couple girls and a couple other people are hanging out in the bathtub. I don't know why, but they're hanging out in a bathtub drinking. And John Ritter thinks it's fun to vandalize the bathroom
Yeah.
with graffiti for some reason. He just seems like a shithead. John
Yeah.
Ritter's just a shithead in this movie, and
He's
Mick is just a shithead.
He's making out
Um,
with two separate. Well, he's making out with one girl, and another girl walks in and is like, "Hey," and then they all cuddle up.
Yeah, and John
that's
Ritter,
right.
to be fair, John Ritter's a good-looking man, but I don't think any man is good-looking enough to get away with that bullshit when you're that lame and you have nothing to offer to humanity.
Yeah.
But anyways, John Ritter gets into a fight on top of the roof with two jocks, beats the fucking shit out of them with like a fucking beer bottle, and then stomps their faces afterwards.
just savage.
Just like savage beating. And then Jesse's like, not Jesse, Charlie, I'll keep referring to him as Charlie, even though Jesse
Banks?
Jesse Banks, yes.
Yeah, Jesse Banks.
But yes.
Secret
Charlie
agent Jesse
sees
Banks.
this going on. He's like, I'm going to call the police. So he does. He's a narc, yeah. He does call the police, and he's going to try to get him on attempted murder charges, which is totally justifiable because he almost murdered those two guys.
He did, yeah.
So it's a justifiable defense, but Charlie Banks at the last second kind of chickens out and doesn't pursue it. And he said, you're gonna regret this, blah blah blah. You need to stand up, blah 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 blah. And Charlie's like, yeah, whatever. I'll figure it out later. The movie then fast forwards to Charlie Banks at college.
Mm-hmm. Which, where are they going? It's somewhere.
It's like somewhere in New York State or something, or like Connecticut or some shit. It's somewhere in the Northeast.
Utica, brother.
Yeah, they were from New York, and they keep saying like up north here, and
yeah, so it's probably like upstate or like fucking Connecticut or something.
Yeah, I feel like it's somewhere in like it's probably Connecticut or Vermont or
and this movie's kind of like a kid on the wrong side of the tracks because Mick grew up in a poor environment, whereas Charlie and all of his friends are all like rich kids.
Mm-hmm.
So there's kind of that sort of like class dichotomy in this movie as well.
I don't think Charlie's a rich kid. He's probably like upper middle class.
No, they kind of showed his like. I think they showed like his upbringing. He's like upper middle class, kind of like
he's upper middle
enough.
class. He, honestly, that's one thing that I'm going to say in this movie actually does
all of his
directly
friends are rich as shit,
reference. Yeah, all of his friends are rich as shit. This movie does directly reference The Great Gatsby at one point, and I feel like it's trying to pull themes from The Great Gatsby. About he's the insert of Nick Carraway, I think is his name, the main character of The Great
Jack
Gatsby.
Kerouac.
Yeah, Jack Kerouac. He was on the road and in The Great Gatsby, but like he's the middle class dude who's like a little devolved from the lives of rich people and like views the lives of rich people and like the carelessness of certain individuals, which we'll get into. And Mick is supposed to kind of be Jay Gatsby, although Mick isn't actually rich. He's just kind of like
some Irish guy.
It's like that nouveau riche versus old money type shit. Yeah. This movie parallels The Great Gatsby in a lot of ways, but also like makes out Mick to be a villain, and I don't know. It's not a perfect parallel, but there are a lot of things.
And then
there.
they do directly reference it, so I think they were trying to make some parallels with that.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, it's okay. And the movie fast forwards to this movie's had like two fast forwards in the span of like 15 minutes, which is weird. Movies don't usually do that. But they all go to college, and Charlie and his childhood friend are dorming together at a college in the Northeast of America, somewhere probably in New York State or Connecticut or some shit.
Yeah, somewhere Mark Wahlberg committed a hate crime.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're committing hate crimes, we're going to talk about Mick in a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
But they're all having fun. They're getting drunk at bars because back in the day, you could get drunk at bars at 18. So cool. The past was so much better in a lot of ways.
This is pre-Nancy Reagan.
Yeah.
They should lower the drinking age and the age of consent.
Listen, I know you've been reading too much Cameron Crowe lately. Okay,
I do kind of agree with the drinking age, but
sorry, I'm a libtard, libertarian retard.
Hell yeah, dude! Oh man, but I bet Mick is a libertarian. I'll be honest. He kind of reminds me of a guy who'd be a libertarian. But anyways, we keep getting distracted. So they're all having fun, whatever. Charlie has a crush on a girl named Mary who is doing a report on Mein Kampf for some reason. Yeah. I think she's a Nazi. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe?
the school.
I don't know what's going on there.
They actually asked her not to do it, but she's like, I really want to.
I think she's literally like, I'm taking German class, so I'm reading Mein Kampf, which is like, I don't think any German class would make you read Mein Kampf.
I took a German class in college, and that definitely didn't happen.
As a person who is a leftist and trans, so I would have been killed by Hitler for a multitude of reasons. I do think there are things to be gleaned from Mein Kampf in terms of like learning about propaganda and how it is pushed towards individuals.
But no one would do that for a college paper.
Yeah, doing that for a college paper is a little weird.
I mean, they are rich, so they probably would be Nazis, to be honest.
Yeah, they probably... honestly, they're not that far from Nazis in terms of ideology. They just probably aren't comfortable with talking about the racist aspects of it.
Yeah, and Jess is Jess, you're a big lover of Mein Kampf. Taylor and I feel it's a bit problematic. But It's fine. We're-
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Oh shit! But after this, yeah.
Wait. Also, is she like the daughter of a senator or something?
Yeah, they
Okay.
make reference to that. Like, so there's like they're American aristocracy essentially as well, which makes sense because that's kind of where the American aristocracy started, was in the Northeast.
Mhm.
And then, unbeknownst to us, and we would have never guessed this, Mick shows up again. Dun dun dun. And he's showing up. He's showing up for a quote unquote short while, just so things can kind of cool down in New York City. Because he didn't do anything in New York City, by the way. He just wanted to take a vacation up north, spend some time with some old friends he hasn't seen since high school, and the last time he saw them, he almost murdered 2 people.
smash
You know,
some
just
pussy.
kind of cool people stuff. You know what I mean?
I know what you did 2 summers ago, and what I'm doing this summer is I'm coming back to smash some pussy.
And there's a little bit of a love situation going, because even though Charlie is a giant pussy and won't tell Mary directly about how he feels until later on in an extremely creepy way, and Mick right away
the worst
is just
way
like
you could.
And listen, Mick is macking on fucking Mary right away. He's like, you know what? You're fucking cute. I'm gonna get you.
I'd like
It's
to suck on your titties here.
You're cute. I want you.
Yeah,
It's just,
wanna-
he's just going fucking nuts on her, which is cool, right? And they start to develop a little bit of a bond. Because of course, I mean, who wouldn't want to fuck somebody who's clearly not a monstrous piece of shit like Mick?
Right.
Yeah.
As we all know, women only like douchebags.
Yeah. Nice guys, they never really get a chance.
And
so.
Charlie is the nicest guy of all time.
Yeah, I mean,
And very charming. Oh my god. So yeah, and they kind of go through college a little bit. You know, Mick just sits in college classes. I didn't even know you could like do that. He's not going to college, but you can.
You don't have
sit
to
in
pay
college
for it. You can
classes
just go
and-
to the classes.
Yeah, that's how it works,
And then
right?
you don't have to take the test.
Yeah. And there's a little interesting scene in between it where a college professor has a lecture on the banality of evil.
Yes.
And
oh
guess
my
what?
god.
And guess what? That professor looks a lot like Nick Cage.
All I gotta say about this is
It looks a lot like Nick Cage.
I love The Banality of Evil. I have read that book. It's by Hannah Arendt. Very good book. You should look it up. It's called Eichmann in Jerusalem, a report on the banality of evil. And
That's not the word they were talking about. They were talking about the concept of the banality of evil. So.
which they were, but they were also kind of they were talking about the book and then reference,
I don't think
and
so.
they take it to different ways. And I don't know if I interpret that quite as much. Sorry, I could go on a very long. What's the word? I don't know.
Oh, like a rant.
Sex.
Yeah, a little rant about the banality of evil, but like the
Analysis.
essence of the banality of evil is that some of the people who carry out the most evil aspects of society do so in a very boring way, where they may or may not even realize the evils that they're carrying out.
Which is
And
objectively very true.
very true.
I agree with all that.
Yes.
Like, seriously.
Oh yeah.
But I did think it was
that's
funny
definitely true.
that Nick Cage showed up in this movie to do a college lecture.
He
like, if
made
you-
his first Fred Durst cameo.
Like, if you like go and rewind, he looks like a late stage Nick Cage. It's hilarious.
And just while we're on the subject, I want to say that one of the things that I found was referenced a lot in this movie is a book that I've read and really enjoyed called Green Eggs and Ham.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And, so
Okay, yes, I sound like a pretentious
Check-
asshole,
check-
but I am a little bit.
check that one
God
out
damn
too.
it.
Oh fuck! All right, so there's some of that stuff going on. He's just hanging out with these cool people. Mick is, and about halfway through the movie, they decide to take a private plane to one of their rich friends' mansions, and they all
Yeah, I think it's called the Lolita Express.
Yes,
And,
yes. I feel like, to be fair, Jeffrey Epstein would be friends with these losers. So.
Oh, for
Yes,
sure.
absolutely. He's at least friends with their parents.
oh yeah, he's friends. Oh, he's friends with their parents.
With a certain senator, yes.
he's bought these
but-
kids.
But they're all partying. They're having a good time. They're having like fucking polo or something. I don't know
Yeah,
what the
some
fuck they're
rich
doing.
kid
Croquet.
Yeah, croquet. That's it.
Croquet,
Yeah.
polo. It's fuck.
They're doing water polo. I mean, they are next to the ocean. At this
Man,
cool
if I had
mansion.
rich friends, I'd be doing so much
and
fucking polo.
and Mick finally puts the real moves on Mary. And before they fuck, Charlie and Mary go into a hot tub together, and Charlie admits to Mary that he jacks off to her all the time.
I don't know. I feel like he
Ah.
tried to play it off as a joke, but it just doesn't.
That was
you know,
not. I
it
think
was all
he
fucking
legit
weird.
did
He also
that.
like mentions Mein Kampf in it, which I didn't realize she was writing a report on Mein Kampf until you mentioned it. I was just like, why did he bring up Mein Kampf in this?
He's like, listen, I jack off to you, and I'm also a Nazi. Like, what? It was weird. But then, he's trying to pull the moves. She's clearly like, oh, you're so whatever, Charlie.
You silly boy.
And then John Ritter takes off his clothes, and he's like, "Yo, Mary, I'm fucking here." And then you see
he literally gets naked. They're all naked in the hot tub, Charlie and Mary, and he literally gets naked and comes between them. He literally slides.
You know what's
right
amazing,
between.
right? Is that John Ritter has the smallest ass I've seen in a while. That dude's ass is like molecules big. He's got no cheeks at all. He ain't clapping.
Wait, is it John Ritter or Jason Ritter?
Oh, sorry, Jason Ritter. I keep calling him John Ritter. No, Jason Ritter.
Because I was like,
No, John Ritter was long dead by the time this movie
John
came
Ritter
out.
is dead.
All right, audience, replace John Ritter with Jason Ritter.
Jason Gravity Falls Ritter.
So, but anyways, Jason Ritter has the tiniest butt in existence. It's like he has no cheeks. Okay,
He has like one cheek.
Yeah.
he's got a butt with one cheek.
he's got a Hank Hill ass going on.
He's got the little Hank Hill chode ass.
Yeah, he's got like that syndrome that like some overweight people have. That are like really big, but they have no ass. I can't
Stop
remember.
it! I need to do squats. Stop making me self-conscious.
Oh my god! But anyways, he gets in the
No
pool,
ass.
and I swear to God, you can see a frame of his nutsack, just like Xandali.
A lot of
I missed-
callbacks to Xandali. In this one.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely some comparisons to Xandali, I feel, in this movie, because there's a love triangle with a horrifically abusive man and a woman.
Yeah.
So yeah, there, and then finally, Mick puts the moves on Mary, and Mary in her underwear. She's looking pretty cute in this movie. I like that scene, and John Ritter's front is a lot better than his back. I'll just say that he's kind of cute in the front.
Yeah, when I saw Mary, I was like, "Whoa, is she in Twin Peaks?" Because I'd like to take a look at those Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Hey.
She must have been in Twin Peaks.
All
Twin
right.
Peakin'.
And I put it in my note that Mick cucks Charlie, which isn't entirely fair because they were never in a relationship in the first place, but
It's true.
close
Well,
enough.
Honestly, okay, and this is going to be a bit of a hot take and a hard stance that I'm going to take, but if you've ever jacked off to a girl, it's your girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Are you taking Proud Boy rules now? Is that how it works?
If you've ever come to the image of a lady, that's your lady.
I think so too.
So, like,
Yeah.
porn stars.
I mean, like
Yeah.
I said, dude, I
are
was
they
talking about.
all in a relationship with her at once?
I mean, like I said,
or-
we're talking about
Yes.
Miseducation of Laura Hill and the Education of Charlie Banks. Let's just do the combo and let's make a porn parody called The Education of Sarah Banks. Let's make it happen.
Oh, okay.
But I mean,
I'm disappointed with myself for knowing that.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad you get the reference. But anyways, afterwards they're done with the party after Jesse, after Charlie gets cucked, of course. Then they have a spring formal, which the spring formal they have like some pretentious thing about, oh, it's fucking. I can't believe I went to a spring formal at, like
This is the
college.
part- there's a
kid.
character that's been showing up a lot named Leo that I don't think we've mentioned yet, and I didn't really mention him in my notes either. But
yeah.
yeah, Leo is the stereotypical frat boy asshole.
Yeah, he's the guy who owned that mansion we were talking about earlier.
Yes, this
Or
is,
his dad did. But yeah.
So, like, in The Great Gatsby, he talks a lot about careless, reckless people who do, like, they don't care about whose lives they show up in and ruin. And this is definitely the husband of Daisy is Leo, even though in this story it's Mary and Leo, I think, are brothers and sister. But yeah, he's kind of the husband of Daisy insert here. I'm sorry.
what?
What I believe you're playing porn.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to. I couldn't remember who Sarah Banks was.
Oh, you found out. Good. I'm glad.
Sorry.
I know we're gonna save that for later during our circle jerk. What?
I'll send you the link.
I was gonna say I feel like we're definitely cutting.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so funny. Oh my god.
No, don't cut that. Come on. I didn't even go into incognito mode for that.
All right, fuck it. All right, so they go to spring formal. They're partying. Charlie dances with a girl, and he's got some good moves.
No, well, this is an important thing. To get into the spring formal, all the rich kids are like, I'm not fucking paying for that.
Yeah.
$20 at the door? Hell no. Even though, like, they literally buy a yacht for $200,000. Like, later in the movie, it's stated. They get in there by Leo, the careless rich guy, like, charms a girl into getting the keys from her, and he unlocks it, and that girl is going to lose her job if the key is lost, and Leo loses the fucking key.
Yeah, so that is an important point to bring up in the fact that rich people are immoral pricks.
Yeah, well, that is actually kind of one of the messages of this movie.
That's
it's like
a generalization
a
I
message.
can get behind.
Yeah,
It's a subtle
classism
message.
in that way is good.
Yes.
But yes, they're at the spring
not really
formal
a
that they
subtle
basically fucking finagled a poor girl out of her job, essentially, to get in.
So
Charlie,
getting somebody fired for a $2.70 breakfast.
yeah, literally, it's that level bad, basically. But
It's
you know,
worse than that, frankly. As far as I'm concerned, he dropped $20,000, like as a hat or whatever the phrase goes. At the drop of a hat.
But he
Drop
can't
the hat for
$20 to go to a party.
$20,000.
Yeah.
$200,000. But
you said
won't
20, honey.
pay $20 at the door to fucking get in.
Yeah,
Has to swindle and make someone
shit.
lose their job and thus their scholarship to college.
Oh, it's some horrible shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, Charlie and Mick are going on the dance floor. Charlie's dancing and shit. And then about at the end of the dance, Charlie and Mick are talking. They kind of create quite a friendship throughout this movie. And then Charlie drops the bombshell that he was the one who almost put Mick in prison. Just out of nowhere, there's definitely some things going on. Mick is talking about going to school because, Mick definitely seemed like the studious type. And then after Charlie admits that he almost put Mick in prison, a guy jumps off the fucking the roof of this fucking building for some reason and nearly dies.
And the dude is ranting about Jacques Derrida, which look, I'm a pretentious asshole. This movie tried its hardest to play into people like me, okay? And like he's ranting about Derrida, and I'm like, cool. Like, yeah, like Derrida, I like to see him referenced.
And then he almost kills himself. He tries to kill himself.
And then he tries to kill himself. But,
which that was like,
which
what
if
the
you're really into
fuck?
postmodernism, you probably want to kill yourself. So
I mean, I feel like every person our age wants to kill himself.
yeah,
but that's not
and
here.
a lot of people like us would probably be really into postmodernism if they read it.
I
And
plan to
then the next
get
morning,
into postmodernism and kill myself.
and then the next morning after the party, Mick and Leo and Mary and the other girl, I can't remember her name at the moment, are all walking back to their place, and they're like, "Oh, it was a fun party," and they're all drunk as shit, like hungover, I guess. And the girl that you mentioned earlier who gave Leo the key is like, "Hey, where's the key?" And then he's like, "Oh, I'll give it back to you eventually, whatever." And then of course he's lying. And makes her cry and, basically probably help
She said
ruin
she's
her
going
life.
to lose her scholarship and have to drop out of college.
And then Mick is like, "Yo, bro, that's fucked up." And then Mick just beats the fuck out of Leo.
Which I got to say at this point, I was supportive of that,
Yeah,
frankly.
it was the one assault Mick did in this movie where you're like, "Oh, that's fine."
Yeah, I was okay with that. Everyone gets super mad at him. It's like, you overreact. And it's like, no, this guy carelessly ruined another person's life to save $20 when he just a while ago
when he
dropped
literally
$500,000
when he
on a
literally
yacht.
lives in an oceanside mansion for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Like he can afford $20, but
I'm sorry.
and then as well, he becomes violent and everyone's like, "Yo, Mick, what the fuck?"
What the fuck?
Yes, and he tries to make amends with Mary, and she's like, "Yo, fuck you! I literally just saw you violently assault somebody, even though he deserved it. So I don't want to be around you," which is a totally understandable thing for a woman not to want to be around.
Mm-hmm. Then I will say, if your partner will violently assault somebody that quickly, it is scary, and you don't want to be around that.
It sounds terrifying,
even if they did deserve it.
And then I don't remember how they found out. Was it through a newspaper or something? But they basically find out that Nick killed somebody in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they're not entirely sure why. Charlie's friend throughout the movie, who's been very sympathetic to Mick, his roommate in the dorm, is trying to be sympathetic, saying like, "Oh, it was a fucking accident. The guy fucked with him or whatever." And Charlie's like, "No, that's probably not true because he violently assaults people all the time at the drop of a hat. So I don't know if that's entirely true." Which I'm kind of taking more Charlie's side because that sounds totally in character for Mick to just randomly murder somebody because he literally did that a couple of years ago, almost in that case. So yeah, they're trying to figure out like, "Oh, what the fuck? Where's Mick?" Blah, blah, blah. And Mick was able to convince Mary to go on a boat that I think it was Leo's boat, wasn't it?
Yeah, Leo's
boat
$200,000 yacht.
To hang out with,
which I've mentioned like 3 times now.
Yeah.
I hate Leo as a character.
No, he's a shit character.
I fucking hate him.
He's a shit character. But yes, they go on the boat together, and him and Mary, I think, get a little drunk, and she decides not to pursue his advances, and he assaults her. before this whole scene happens, Charlie is able to figure out where they're at, and Charlie gets to Mick and Mary before Mick probably murders her.
Yeah, he probably was going to.
And Charlie tries to fight back, but he gets his fucking ass beat. And Mick, I guess, in a moment of redemption, doesn't kill Charlie.
He just runs away.
Runs away, jumps in the ocean to never be seen again, allegedly alive, which that's not how that works, I would think.
Yeah. Well, he jumps in like a harbor that has a river coming out of it, and they say like he probably drifted downstream, and I think they said like he made. Let me find my notes. Whatever. He made his way to somewhere in the
he's
south.
like in like a gutter in New York City in the criminal underground.
No, I think he made his way to the deep south, but
yeah. But yeah, either way, and that's how the movie ends, is with Jesse Eisenberg getting assaulted, and a woman who was horribly abused by somebody that she loved less than a couple hours earlier. So this movie has a very satisfying ending, I would say.
Yeah.
Definitely a movie that I think has a lot of lessons we can. I mean, the movie was educating Charlie Banks.
Yeah. And it educated everybody who watched it, I think.
And I know Mike definitely got educated a little bit earlier about inserting somebody online.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, that is the movie, The Education of Charlie Banks.
The Fornication of Sarah Banks.
Yeah, I'm down for that shit. So what are your opinions on this movie? And I'll go first. I liked this movie, and I thought this movie, honestly, was a lot better than I was expecting.
Yeah, I would say this movie is a lot better than I was expecting.
And also a lot more pretentious than you were probably expecting.
Yeah, a lot more pretentious than I was expecting. So it appealed to me straight off. I love pretension. When it's done well, which like when pretension is done badly, I hate it. That's why I hate Sunny. That's why I hate Sunny so much. It tried so hard to be so much deeper than it was. But this movie, it doesn't perfectly pull off the pretension that it's going for, but it tries some things that I think are interesting, and I have to kind of admire artistic ambition at times, even if it isn't fully perfectly executed. And in this case, I think it did a fairly good job of what it was trying to do, even if it has stumbles and missteps along the way. And I'm actually rather surprised at the quality of this movie. And
especially for a $5 million budget and some of the people they were able to get, I think they utilized that $5 million pretty solidly.
I will say it feels a little unfocused in its direction, so I
will
wouldn't say
agree
it's
with that.
perfect. And but overall, I liked this more than I thought I would.
This movie.
Yeah. I mean, I'm no enemy to things that are pretentious or draw similarities to pretentious things. But that being said, watch anything else but this. It's not interesting in any way, and
I mean, I will be honest. If Fred Durst didn't direct this movie, I would probably feel very similar feelings about
I mean,
it.
Fred Durst, from just looking at Fred Durst's efforts in this movie, he's a decent director.
Well, that's the thing is that you have to understand is that the sort of like, misunderstood, fucking outcast that everyone's still cool with, but they don't really quite understand. I mean, that is Fred Durst.
That's
though.
Fred Durst at its heart.
Absolutely.
And I will say, like, this movie obviously isn't a perfect execution of any of the things I talk about, but I do appreciate a movie that tries to fit in themes like this. I think it could have been a little less on the nose. Like, it didn't need to directly reference The Great Gatsby.
No, it did not.
Like,
and I think some of the references are too on the nose and too blatant.
Yeah, and just the guy ranting about Derrida before he jumps off. It feels like it's trying to say, like, look at me, I'm smart. And that bugs me a little bit. But I have to at least appreciate that they tried to do something nice and interesting like that.
I appreciate the fact that Fred Durst tried to make something artistic.
If I could force myself to say something nice about this movie, it would probably be that.
I love how you have the same opinion of this movie as I basically did of Trapped in Paradise. Like, fucking sucks, you should watch it.
Never had the opportunity to read The Great Gatsby, and I've never read it of my own volition, but I will say
it's only
Charlie
about
Banks,
120 pages.
Charlie Banks could beat that fucking asshole Boo Radley's ass any day, which is...
I don't think Jesse Eisenberg could beat up a toddler in this movie. He doesn't have noodle arms. He's got, like, fucking microscopic arms. He's a fucking weakling in this movie. To be fair, in real life, too, but definitely in this movie.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's Lex Luthor for you. So.
yeah. And also the fact that, like I said, everybody has seen this movie, so I'm surprised that we're
Yeah,
the only people
I
online
mean,
who've talked about it.
Part of the reason that it's so hard to find this movie is because everybody just assumes we've all seen it, we've hashed it out.
And I also think that everyone is literally is like downloading a copy of this movie at all times, so there's just no copies of it online to be able to be downloaded right away.
So seed that shit.
Yeah.
Well, my opinions of this movie, read The Great Gatsby instead.
Yes. Also,
it's actually a good book. I
opinions of
know
this
that
movie,
a lot of people have a tendency to hate the things they're forced to read in English class, but it's actually a good book.
and also probably listen to the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, or
listen to that, definitely.
like Mike did during the show. Look up Sarah Banks on Pornhub.
Yeah. She's really hot.
She's pretty fucking hot.
She's really
pretty
hot.
hot. It's pretty clear to me in most of her scenes that she's not enthused by what's going on, and that disappoints me.
I mean, is any porn star?
I mean,
really,
that's
though?
my
I mean, let's be
favorite.
honest.
I
Mike just like women who aren't into it.
I love a bored guy.
I like porn where both people are clearly enjoying what's happening.
Well, see, here's the
I
thing.
mean, talk about porn. I mean, Mary. I would have liked to see a porn of Mary.
If I wanted both people to be really enjoying sex, I'd just go have it. Boom. But
Boom,
yeah.
shakalaka. But either way, talking about sexy and hot things
To summarize, I found both these movies deeply offensive,
in different ways, though.
and
Look, this
Yeah.
is not a perfect movie. I'll say that.
No, it is
there are a
not.
lot of problems with it, and it does feel. I think there are similar indie movies from around this time that are a lot better. You know, I like to see a movie that shits on rich people. I do like
absolutely.
to see that
For sure.
But
and gives them their just fucking desserts.
But
actually, I like desserts, so give them fucking nothing.
there are a lot of indie coming of age movies from around this time that are certainly a lot better than this movie was.
Yes.
But I don't know. It ingratiated itself to
If
me
you ever
in
want to
certain
watch a Fred
ways.
Durst movie, this is one of Fred Durst movies.
This is one of 4 that we've talked about.
I believe this is one of only 4 movies he's ever done.
This is all 4 movies.
He's
covered on
directed
this
3
podcast?
movies, and he's been a main actor in 1 movie. So yeah, these are all 4 of his movies.
If
Holy
I
shit.
walked into a room and I had 2 bullets, and in front of me were the DVDs of Population 436, The Long Shots, The Fanatic, and The Education of Charlie Banks, I would put 2 bullets into the ceiling and say, "Thank you, Dr. Durst, for these beautiful creations."
Hell yeah! All right, Dave, do you have a summary of The Education of Charlie Banks?
Just
Awesome.
awesome snowboarders, man.
Hey, bro, what's up, man? I thought I'd never see you, man. Where?
Yes, this is exactly what I thought it was.
I thought. Okay, here it is. Hear me out. Okay, I got this idea, and like, what it is that we like go around the world, like me and you, and we just like hack, like everywhere we go, and like we just like climb out the street and just hack, and like we like like hear me out, like me and you are like really good hackers, right? We can hack the stack like all day long, and it's like we're awesome, and we like make money out of this. It's all right.
Like, we could do like,
I don't know, I can
that
box
would be a
this.
good idea. I didn't think about it. Just
What do you think about that?
flipping it. That'd be awesome.
We just hack. Like for everybody, like their skills, like college, like 15. So, man, it's like hacking is like my life. Right? Yeah, totally. That'd be a cool idea. Fucking hacking.
Oh my god! I'm crying. Oh my god.
That was pretty good, Dave.
Yeah, that was good shit.
Good
All right. All right, so we're ready for the countdown. Dave, are you ready to do the countdown?
No.
Okay, I'll do the countdown for this one. All right. 3, 2, 1. The
The
Fanatic.
Education of
The
Charlie
Fanatic.
Banks. Oh, fuck you both.
Yeah! So are you doing the Fanatic?
I'm voting the Fanatic.
I'm doing the Fanatic too.
This movie was so much better than that movie
Yeah, it
was.
was, but the Fanatic was more enjoyably awful.
I would say this actually, the portrayal of the people in The Education of Charlie Banks makes this movie look like we're giving autistic people a big hug.
I don't know about that because like this
Well, I don't
didn't
know what-
shit on people with actual
No, I
like
don't-
disabilities.
no,
this one
Mick
shit
was-
on rich people who are assholes.
No,
and
Yeah,
you,
that's
terrible
you
the
don't
problem I had with
understand.
it.
You don't understand. Mick was autistic in this movie. He was very high functioning, so you couldn't tell.
Yeah.
He didn't
And
understand a lot of social mores. Let's be honest.
Also, obviously, Moose in the Fanatic was rich, so let's.
yeah.
Look,
I mean,
come
yeah, I mean, come on.
Look, this movie had ambition and it tried to do the Education of Charlie Banks. It had ambition. It tried to do things that were like interesting
Yeah,
and
that's why
good.
it's so
Whereas the
embarrassing that
Fanatic
this
basically
happened.
just shat on autistic people. And you know, like I
it's-
support my autistic siblings. Okay.
No, listen, I do, and I am kind of on the spectrum myself, so I do understand that argument. But also, the Education of Charlie Banks, even though it did try to do some good things, it is also painfully boring.
It's kind of boring, but the fact
the
that
word
it
kind is
references
doing a lot of work in that.
the fact that it references a bunch of modern and postmodern philosophers and like great works of modern literature got me a little excited because the 20th century is my favorite era of
Yeah.
both philosophical thought and
So you're
literature. So
pretty much making our point for us.
but yeah, well,
Yeah.
you know what? Fuck you both. Y'all overpowered me. Fine. Now's
Hey.
the time where all of the other things that I have beaten you guys on through like outside help is finally coming
Hey,
back.
and don't let
biting
Jess
me.
fool you. She loves being overpowered. So
Look, I can be a sub sometimes. I consider myself a switch.
I consider myself a PS5.
All right, but you know what, though? Without further ado, and without help from Jess, the Fanatic moves on.
Hell yeah!
To the next fucking And I will say, Jess, do you have the
No, not for you. Fuck you.
no? Do you
I
have the
have
Fred Durst
nothing.
bracket?
Y'all made a clearly worse movie. Past
No.
Clearly worse, I don't think is fair.
All right, but Jess, do you have the Fred Durst Friday bracket up?
I do. The next one is actually the last thing of the first round before we start going into
Ooh.
things we've seen before again.
All right.
And it is Seamless versus Get Naked.
Which are songs that Fred Durst features on. Seamless is from Angelic to the Core, Corey Feldman's album.
Hell yeah!
What is Get Naked?
Oh, I don't know. It's like some probably
Get
some rap
Naked
song or
is
some
just
shit.
an instructional video that he made.
I'm sure it'll be like that Kevin whatever the fuck Kevin Rudolph song.
Kevin
right?
can wait.
Yeah, Kevin can wait.
Here
We-
are,
we-
are the champions.
We need to talk about Kevin Rudolph. Yeah.
Wait, did that song? That song
We need
didn't
to
win, did
talk
it?
about
No,
Kevin
it did not.
What did that go up against?
When Bleed.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Lead
Soulfly
one.
song.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
But that is the last. Those are the last two entries on the first round of the bracket. So that means like we're halfway done next episode of the Fred Durst Friday bracket.
Oh yeah. That's basic. Yeah.
Yeah, because
that's
4
eight.
and then 2 and 1, so
Mhm.
8 out of 7. So yeah.
Shit.
In fact, we're already like halfway done right now.
Damn, that's
So
crazy.
yes, this will be all of us signing off on this illustrious Fred Durst Friday that was not controversial in the least bit.
The Education of Charlie Banks is really hard to find, but it is better than the Fanatic. I'll
We're-
say that.
That
much.
is
Fuck you
that is
all.
a minority opinion.
We are 3 fanatics in
I'm
this
writing
house.
the court's dissent
See
opinion.
you later.
So yes, this is Taylor signing off.
And this is Mike, and Jess has left.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.